Welcome to After the Pull, the video series where I take all of the comic books that I read for the current comic book week that I didn't cover on a previous video and share my thoughts with you guys. Guys, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. I'm Mike Spider Slayer. If you love daily comic book content, and if you love me helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy, consider hitting that subscribe button. You came to the right place. Also, why don't you consider checking out MutantBeaverComics.com. They have over 4,000 exclusive variant covers in their store. They have top-notch customer service, great packaging. So if you guys are into the exclusive variants, check them out. I have a link in my description box below, corner 10. Not only can you save 10% off of the first purchase, but every other purchase after that. So check out MutantBeaverComics.com. So with that being said, we got a nice little mix of comics this week. We got some of this week's comics. We got some free comic book day comics. And let's get going. Free comic book a day, Spider-Man and the Ultimate Universe. Yes, this was one of Marvel's big releases for free comic book day. There's a few different stories in here, one written by Zeb Wells and Ryan Stegman when it comes to the Amazing Spider-Man. Always great to see Stegman's artwork in a comic book, as we've gotten to see Peter gets attacked by like these, I don't know, Five Nights at Freddy-like creatures, and Norman Osborn's behind things. You get to see him go out on a little date with Shay. Great artwork there with Ryan Stegman. I guess it sets up little things to come when it comes to Norman Osborn starts planting the seeds, right? Then you get this other story here with the Ultimates for the new Ultimate Universe, which I thought was really pretty cool, as they are trying to find a specific hero to bolster up their roster, right? And we get to see them come across the Hand in this universe, which was pretty cool, led by the Maker. So that was awesome. And then they wind up actually finding the hero that they're looking for. So that was cool to set things up. And then you get this other little story that has to deal with the Venom War. So if you guys were curious about the Venom War, here we get to see Eddie Brock and Dylan Brock. And you wind up seeing Dylan going to the place where his dad was, or whatever it is, where he asked this Hand like 5 separate questions, and it's trying to give him the future. And then somehow you come across Dylan's future self here. So I thought it was like, oh, look, it's almost like a Cable character, right? So this book was cool, man. Again, you can't complain when you get stuff for free, right? But does it get you excited for certain things? Yeah, it did, especially the Ultimate Universe. Like, I was most excited about that. So for a free comic book day, I'm going to give this one a B. I thought that the stories were pretty solid. Didn't do anything for me for the Amazing Spider-Man and what's to come, but it did have me intrigued for the Venom War, and I'm super excited for the Ultimates. Absolute Power Special Edition Issue 1, the prelude to this epic event, as it's noted here. The artwork is pretty good in this book. A lot of this stuff is going to be done by Mark Waid and Dan Mora. I think this could be a fun DC event. And really what this issue is about is a short story really of, you know, who Amanda Waller is, how powerful she's become, and it's this little tour with Clock King taking haywire throughout the facility of what was the Hall of Justice is now called the Hall of Order, and you get to see him explaining everything. And there's this specific project that's going on that Amanda Waller's trying to accomplish with this robot, and it just doesn't work, and it winds up killing Haywire, and it's wound up supposedly killing all these other characters as well. And Amanda Waller's trying to find out the future of what's happening by going to Dreamer, and she's not relaying that information, but as you, the reader, are finding out, like, okay, things are not going to be right. There's an invasion happening because of, you know, Brainiac and all that other stuff. That's basically what you're last left off with at the end of the page. Does it give you super excited for the event? I don't think so, right? I think it's just getting you up to speed of everything that's going on. And then at the end, you do get the cool little profiles of all the characters that are going to be in play here. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like, you get Amanda Waller, you get Failsafe, you get the House of Brainiac. Who else is in this one? And then you got all the stuff leading up to this. So this is a big advertisement, right? Dark Crisis, the Lazarus stuff, Night Terrors, so all that kind of thing. So if I graded this free comic book that I got absolutely for free, right, I'm gonna give this one a C+. I was a little bit bored by it. It didn't give me anything that I didn't already know, but this is mainly for, I guess, the people that don't know what's going on. Maybe they've been away, right? And you want to see what's going on with DC Comics, and you pick this up and you're like, oh, this sounds kind of cool. Let me jump into this, right? So I think that's what this is for. So yeah, it was all right. Free Comic Book Day Blood Hunt. This is issue 1. This is written by Jed McKay. The artwork is done by Sarah Michelli. And there's also an Uncanny X-Men story in here as well. The artwork for the Blood Hunt storyline was actually really good. I like seeing Sarah Michelli's artwork in Marvel Comics. You don't see her too often these days, but it is really nice to see her facial expressions drawn and whatnot. So that was cool. Now, if you did not read Blood Hunt first, I would say kind of read that and then read this. Because you're going to get to see who could possibly be the hero when it comes to Blood Hunt, right? So it starts off really funny with SpiderMan here as he is taking on a Dark Force character. Now, if you did read that series, the Dark Force characters are the one that create this sun event where it blocks off the sun and then all these vampires come out, and that's what really starts this event. And you do get to see this happen in this comic. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then we get to see it, experience it through, you know, different parts of the Marvel universe, whether it's where Spider-Man lives, whether it's we're in Hell's Kitchen, you know, things like that. And then we get to see Blade's daughter here, and she is being recruited by Dracula to kind of possibly help save the day. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, listen, is it a must read? No, absolutely not. But I think it enhanced the story a little bit, and I thought this was a little fun, free little adventure here. So I thought that was cool. And then we get the brief introduction of things to come for Uncanny X-Men, and this story is focused around Jubilee. And we get to see, like, obviously there's not many mutants around. They're under strict protocols. We wind up getting to see the X-Mansion being taken over by a female Dr. Ellis. I'm not sure who that character is and who this old guy is, but they have mutants under control. They have certain mutants detained, and we wind up just seeing, you know, Jubilee go on this, you know, this little dinner, and she comes across a fellow mutant, and she's not holding back to try to help the other mutant, which I thought was kind of cool. But you do see little seeds of what's to come. Like, it looks like you got maybe Jean Grey who's being captured, and then you wind up seeing this huge cell. Who is that containing? I don't know. We have no idea. It looks like it could be a very big mutant, but maybe not. Maybe it's just somebody that has very strong powers. Maybe it's Magneto. Maybe it is Jean Grey in there, right? Maybe it's Professor X. Like, who's to say? We don't know who's in there. So it kind of, you know, plants seeds for Uncanny X-Men. So this one was good too. I like that one. It's not anything that I already didn't know, but I think it's good, and I'm going to give that one a solid B. Again, for free comic books, I'm not going to complain, man. It's good stuff, right? So when it comes to the free comic book day books, these were the only ones that I got a chance to read. Unfortunately, I wish I could have read them all to cover an entire video. Just didn't have the time. But the one we're talking about now is Free Comic Book Day 2024 Energon Universe 2024 Special Issue 1. This was a treat. I know a lot of people were excited for this, and this possibly made it, probably for a lot of comic book fans, the best Free Comic Book Day in quite a while. But overall, when you look at the books that were released for Free Comic Book Day and the quality of the books, there were some really good books out there, guys. So now going back to Energon Universe, the artwork in this book is spectacular, and this was something that I couldn't show you in the preview video. But the artwork is done by Ryan Ottley here, especially in the beginning pages when it focuses on the Transformers. And you know what? This gets me excited because it's like, hey, you know, Ryan Ottley could be an artist on Transformers also. I'm like, I think he would be a great artist on it. I thought it was really fun, and I love seeing all the action between Optimus Prime and Megatron in this book. Yeah, Megatron, right? A character that we haven't really seen in the Energon universe, and this was the story about what happened to Megatron before we saw Transformers issue 1, and it was so freaking cool to see the battle. They pop up all this stuff. There's like limbs being chopped off. We get to see the axe that freaking Optimus Prime has. We even get to see Megatron with the ball and chain that he has, and we get to see Starscream, how he betrays his leader in this book. It's just so cool. Everything about this opening story was balls to the walls action. And the way Megatron got captured, it was pretty cool as well. There was a nice little fight in there too. So great action, great artwork, in-your-face stuff. Definitely, guys, that first story was phenomenal. And then you get more of a story that has to tie in with Void Rivals, where we wind up seeing that collector who collected our two main heroes in the comic book and the ship and everything else, and he has this relationship with freaking Hot Rod. I'm like, what the hell, dude? I'm like, freaking Hot Rod? I'm like, no way. So I thought that was really cool. And then you also get to see kind of like a continuation off of the Duke storyline, how Duke is trying to recruit Baroness on the G.I. Joe side. So that was a really nice little treat as well. And this whole Energon universe for me just keeps getting better and better. And there is definitely a twist at the end of that G.I. Joe portion of Free Comic Book Day. So everything about this particular Free Comic Book was an A+ for me. A great book to have in your collection. It's not one of those comic books where you sit there and you're like, this is a Free Comic Book Day, I don't need it, I'm going to just trash it. No, this is a very good comic. So now we're getting into this past week's comic books, and we're going to talk about the never-ending Fall of X-Men issue 34. It's almost over, guys. I think this has been about a year, right, in the making of this whole thing coming to an end. This book is 28 pages. This book is $4. This one's written by Jerry Duggan. The art is done by Joshua Cassera, which the best thing about this comic book is the artwork. The artwork is absolutely outstanding. It looks so great. MODOK looks so grotesque in this comic. There's Orcus soldiers that were working for MODOK, and he changes them into these like crazy ass creatures, which takes up like half the book. And we get to see our X-Men who are actually fighting these creatures. You know, listen, it is what it is, but it just looks cool while reading it, right? All the characters got good facial expressions. That's the best thing I could say about this comic book. So, in this book, we just wound up seeing MODOK, who's like, enough. Orcus is the ones in control. All the humans are going to die. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to turn all my soldiers into monsters. We're going to fight all the humans. We're going to kill everybody. Then it's the X-Men to stop them. And you just wind up getting to see this kick-ass battle between, again, MODOK and like Laura and all the other X-Men. And you wind up seeing them prevail. The other side of the story here is about how Kitty can't believe that Professor Xavier would betray, you know, his mutants or his students or anybody just for so some of the mutants can live, and Kitty Pryde is just not having it, and Wolverine feels like he is on her side, and it looks like they're gonna fight between Professor Xavier and this and that. I didn't even know Professor Xavier like betrayed everybody. Like, when did I miss that? I don't even know. Is it in one of all the other Fall of X books that are out there? I'm not sure. Listen, at the end of the day, take it for what it is, right? Xavier is a traitor. Kitty doesn't like it. Wolverine doesn't like it. There could be battle against each other. And the last issue is the last issue. And then everything's going to start again. I know people are tired of it. And I know I'll say it over and over again. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they'll somewhat correct themselves. And hopefully things will be better to where people can understand what's going on. That's always been the biggest thing, is when it comes to the X books, especially when there's so many of them. It's just so hard to follow, especially when all these stories intertwine with each other. So we'll see what happens, guys. At the end of the day, I love the artwork. I love the action. I love MODOK getting his ass beat. So I'm going to give this one a C+. It was just an entertaining fight for me to watch. It reminded me of when I was a little kid, just seeing comics, just characters fight each other. That's all I can say. Story-wise, it is what it is. Nightwing 2024 Annual. Yeah, guys, so this is a 48-page comic for the price of $6, written by Travis Moore, and let me tell you, the artwork was all right in this book. I mean, listen, if you didn't care about Rick Grayson, you know, back in the day when he got shot and he lost all his memories, and he was dating the bartender Bea, or Bea, whoever you want to call her his name, you probably passed on this. But if you've been reading Nightwing, or you're a loyal fan to the character, you want to pick this up to see what this story is about, right? And let me tell you, if you went from not knowing who the character was in the past, well, you definitely know who she is now and more, because this chick has been through it all. Let me freaking tell you, dude, this girl was freaking through the ringer. She was a little girl. Her boat got blown up. Her mom got killed. She wound up surviving and wound up being found on a beach, taken to the hospital. She escaped the hospital. She dedicated herself 20 years trying to find out for her mom's death. She winds up becoming a pirate. She winds up becoming part of Spiral, and then she's like a double agent, and then she goes on a mission to find Rick Grayson, because the person attached to making him lose his memory is KG Beast, and then she's using him, and then she falls in love with him, and then he gets his memories back, and then she winds up going to be a pirate again, and then at the whole end of the whole thing, after all these twists and turns and double, triple freaking crosses, you want to find out her mom's alive anyway. What the hell, dude? This book, I was reading it and I'm like, oh my god, this doesn't end. Oh look, it's a double cross. It's a triple cross. It's a quadruple cross. It just doesn't stop. It doesn't end. And then you just think of, okay, so they went through all this trouble to develop this character. So, like, what is next for her? Because, again, you got to see her mom, and her mom sits there and says, I hope you find happiness with your adoptive family, but I'm afraid not even can they protect you from what's coming for you next. Is that, like, what just happened in Nightwing? I don't know. We'll see. At the end of the day, the book wasn't necessary. It's too long. It's a C-. Just a lot going on there. Spider-Woman, this is issue 7. The legacy numbering is 123. It's a 32-page comic for the price of $4. This book is written by Steve Fox, and the art is done by Ig Agwara. The artwork is pretty good in this comic book. I do like the action scenes in there. I love the facial expressions, which I think are which I think are really great. There's another one in here as well. And then when Jessica is dressed up as Spider-Woman and she's defeating this Zig or Zack or whatever, Zack's creature. I thought that was really fun as well. The colors are very vibrant in this comic, and we do get introduced to a new cast of characters titled The Assembly. So this is their first appearance in this comic. We have this dude that looks like a Hulk. I don't even know. But let's talk about the comic here itself. So in this book, we wind up seeing Jessica, who is in San Francisco, and she's definitely trying to get, like, in a way, a fresh start, but also trying to get down to, you know, investigating Hydra and how they wind up capturing Jerry and all those other different little things. And she's having a tough go at it. You know, it's a new place, different people, and it's rough. She runs into an old ex, things like that, and as the story progresses, we wind up seeing her investigate this area. She gets attacked by this creature, and then we get the introduction to, like I said, the Assembly, and it looks like there's some kind of security team for that, I think, work for the enemy or escaping. Like, I forgot what exactly happened. But anyway, they work together to defeat this creature. And the supporting cast members here are Cadet Marvel. We wind up seeing Hellrune, Liberty, Moon Squire, Titan, and that was that. So seeing these guys in action were kind of funny. I mean, this Titan guy looked like a Hulk. At first, I thought it was like an Amadeus Cho character. I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of them yet. I don't know what their involvement in the Marvel Universe will be. The Moon Squire guy is a little weird for me. I don't know how he exists in this world, but maybe this book will flesh out those characters a little bit more. And then Cadet Marvel as well. Like, what is that? So, I don't know, man. We'll see. I like that they're trying to do something different. I give them credit for that. And we've moved away from that gang war stuff like I said they would. And we'll see what happens. Was it the best book? No. I keep thinking it's going to get better. It kind of stays the same. So I'm going to give this one probably a C+. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's nothing that, you know, revolutionizes comic books. But it's fun to see these characters come together for the first time. The Invincible Iron Man. This is issue 18. This legacy numbering 668. 28 pages for the price of $4. Written by Jerry Duggan. And your penciler here is Chris Lee. So these past few issues now, there have been different artists, which is a shame because I feel like before we got Tony into this Mark 72 armor, the artwork has always been really, really good for this series, and it's been consistent. And I don't know, it feels like it's different art every time, but it's okay. I think it's fine. We get to see a lot of battling in this issue. We wind up getting to see Tony Stark team up with Magneto in this book to take on Nimrod Dupe, right? And it looked like it was just a fairly easy battle, and Fei Long has been the one kind of pulling the strings all along. But now that we know the real motive here between Orcus, Fei Long is no longer part of the equation, and he's forced to work with Magneto and Tony in this book. And it was pretty much just a really simplistic battle. Our guys win at the end of the day, and that was it. So really, ever since Tony has gotten this huge Sentinel Buster armor, I feel like the storytelling has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat and there's relied a lot on the action. We don't get to see Emma Frost. We don't get to see really many other characters. We do, in this issue, get to see James Rhodes as he finally gets out of jail. I guess things went south enough to the point where he could become War Machine once again in an old school armor and bust out because he wasn't going to have the trial that he was supposed to have. And for some dumb reason, he breaks out the Living Laser and Sandman. Why? That's totally not needed. The Sandman is already out of jail in the Amazing Spider-Man comics right now with the Sinister Six. So this has no line with continuity whatsoever. And why the Living Laser? I don't know. But nevertheless, that was my small hiccup for it. I feel like this book is dipped in quality of past couple issues. I think Jerry Duggan is done. He wants this whole X stuff to end. And, you know, it was okay. It was fine, but it wasn't the greatest. This is one of the weaker issues of the Invincible Iron Man that I have read. So I'm going to give this one a C. It was kind of just average for me, you know. The fight between Nimrod and him was too easy. It just, the exit way out of jail for James was too easy. Like, everything was just so convenient, right? I don't know. So we'll see how this whole thing wraps up. And then where does Iron Man go after all of this is done? Superman, House of Brainiac. This is issue 1, a 48-page comic for $6. The bridge between issues 2 and issues 3. We have 3 separate stories in this comic book. We have Mark Russell, who is the writer of the story called Campaign Headquarters, and then you have Joshua Williamson, who writes the first part and then the third story in this comic. So this book actually is pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It gives you a little bit of an insight of things of what's going on with our cast of characters in the Superman world. So if you want to learn about Lobo's people, the Zazarians, I don't even know how the frick you say them, right? I thought that was kind of cool. You got to see like how Brainiac captured him, how he betrayed the people, and how he studies life and stuff like that. So it's typical Brainiac story, right? And then you get this chapter 2 story with the headquarters of campaign headquarters. Bibbo is actually like the campaign manager for Perry White, who's running for mayor, and we get to see that the people are not on Perry's side, and you kind of feel sad for Perry, you know. It's like, oh man, does this guy even have a chance at winning? And it's a very heartfelt story, right? It's just like, you know, have a heart. Feel for what's going on in the people of your city. You understand your people, while this other guy has no clue what's going on. And obviously there's this push for illegal aliens being in the city and whatnot. So I thought that it's very, I guess, it's very much in line of what's going on in today's politics, right? So I thought that was a really cool story. And then in the third story, once again, you get Amanda Waller in this story, and you found out that her and Brainiac have been working together. And let me tell you, Amanda Waller's got balls. Like I almost feel like she has got the ego of like a freaking planet Earth or Jupiter, because she feels like she can freaking take on and sit in there and make deals with Brainiac. And Brainiac reveals something in this comic that he was working with Amanda Waller, and he was pretending to be something else to her. And it was just crazy, man. I'm like, wow. And then it's revealed that, of course, he's putting together that Queen Brainiac person or whatever is going on there. So yeah, I was like, okay, that's cool, but god dang, freaking Amanda Waller, I'm so tired of her. She needs her ass handed to her. Like, she needs to be put in her place and stay there for a little while, because I'm tired of her running everything, right? But this was a fun read. I really enjoyed it. Do I say like this was perfect? No, but it still was very entertaining. Solid B for me. House of Brainiac stuff has been awesome, and it's one of the bright spots in DC Comics right now. The Incredible Hulk, issue 12, legacy numbering 793, 28 pages, for the cost of $4. This is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. The art is back, baby. Art Klein. Nick Klein does the artwork in this comic, and it's phenomenal. It's just, it needs to be this way every single issue, because even if the story is not that great at times, the artwork kind of makes up for it, because you get so infatuated with seeing everything that is happening on the panels, the layouts, the words in the background, just everything in this comic just screams horror, and that's what you need. Like, this is a horror comic book, and in order to make that work, you need the best artist possible, the artist that was, you know, was recruited to do this comic book, not some backup guy, right? This book it looks great. It's $1 million. So what happens in this comic? Well, obviously, if you've been reading, we had that Frozen Charlotte character that turned Charlie, who is the little sidekick to Hulk, into this little doll. And so here comes Hulk into Strange Academy, and he runs into all the Strange Academy kids, and they're like, what the hell is going on, right? And of course Doctor Strange is not there. Hulk is screaming for Strange, and instead he winds up getting Brother Voodoo here. And, you know, we wind up finding out the story of what's going on, and we see Brother Voodoo trying to calm down Hulk, so you get to see these crazy transformations. And you would think that I guess it looked like the Hulk was kind of supposed to be extracted from Banner in this situation, but that wasn't the case. He winds up becoming Hulk again, and they wind up going to this weird other world or place. I was kind of a little bit lost at the end of this issue, right? But I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool, and then you get to see like Hulk and Banner battling out with each other. So, you know, I thought it was pretty neat. It wasn't a bad issue. Again, was it the best issue I ever read? No, but definitely a step in the right direction. So I'm going to give this one a B+. It almost hit an A for me. I was a little bit confused of what was happening at the end of this comic, but hey, if we can stay with Nick Klein on this book and again continue with some story progression, this is what's going to make it a top tier book. I don't think it's quite there yet. I think Nick Klein hides a lot of the faults of this comic book when it comes to the writing, but nevertheless, this was a fun issue and the best one in a while. So there you have it, guys. There was a little mix of everything in this week's After the Poll. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in all those comments below. And guys, I'll leave you more content right here. In fact, I think this is going to be a free comic book day video, and then maybe another video that has to deal with comic books that are getting ready to come out very soon. And as always, guys, remember to support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read your comic books so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you real soon.